I died, smiling. Not because I wanted to die. I smiled because, at the very last second, I finally saw the truth. The people I had spent 27 years loving had never loved me. The cold mountain wind whipped across my face as I stumbled toward the edge of the cliff. My hiking boots slipped on loose gravel. I desperately reached out. Ethan, my fiancé, was only a few feet away. His hand twitched, but he didn't move. His dark eyes met mine for just a moment. There was no panic, no fear, no love, only guilt. Behind him stood my younger sister, Olivia. She wasn't crying. She wasn't scared. She was smiling. Then, she pushed me. For one endless second, I floated in the air. The blue sky above me looked strangely peaceful. My body fell. My heart shattered long before my bones ever hit the rocks below. As I plunged toward death, memories flashed before my eyes. Not happy memories. The ones I had ignored. The ones I had excused. The ones that should have warned me years ago. When I was 8, my parents bought Olivia a grand piano because she cried after losing a school competition. On my 10th birthday, they forgot it entirely. Grandma secretly baked me a tiny chocolate cake. We celebrated alone in her kitchen. She hugged me and whispered, "One day, you'll understand that not everyone who shares your blood is your family." I didn't understand then. I do now. When I graduated from university at the top of my class, Father looked at my certificate for barely 3 seconds. "That's nice." The next day, Olivia won 3rd place in a local dance contest. My parents threw her a party with over 100 guests. I stood in the kitchen washing dishes while everyone celebrated her success. Mother smiled at me. "You're the older sister. You should help." I nodded, because saying no was something I had never learned. Then Ethan entered my life. Handsome, kind, successful. Or so I believed. He was the youngest billionaire in the city. Everyone admired him. When he proposed to me with a diamond ring worth more than our family home, Mother cried. Not because she was happy for me, because she couldn't stop staring at the ring. That night, Olivia sat beside me on the balcony. She held my hand. "I'm so happy for you." Then she leaned closer. "So, if you ever change your mind." She laughed softly. "I don't mind marrying him instead." I laughed too. I thought it was a joke. It wasn't. 3 months later, I walked into Ethan's penthouse without calling first. I wanted to surprise him with dinner. Instead, I surprised myself. Olivia was wearing my pajamas. She opened Ethan's bedroom door. Her lipstick was smudged. She froze. "So." She crossed her arms confidently. "You finally know." I couldn't breathe. "Ethan." He walked into the hallway. Not embarrassed. Not ashamed. Just annoyed. "Sarah, it's not what you think." I stared at them. Then at the engagement photo hanging on the wall. My photo. My smile. My future. Destroyed in a single afternoon. I ran home. Surely my parents would be furious. Surely they'd defend me. Surely they wouldn't accept this. I was wrong. Mother sighed as though I were the problem. "Sarah, men like Ethan don't come around twice." I blinked. "What?" Father folded his newspaper. "If Ethan prefers Olivia, then perhaps she simply suits him better." I felt the floor disappear beneath my feet. You're taking her side?" Mother frowned. "Don't make such a scene. You've always been too emotional." Olivia walked in moments later. She didn't even look guilty. Mother immediately took her hand. "Our Olivia deserves happiness too." That was the day I realized. I had never been their daughter. I had only been convenient. Weeks later, Ethan announced his engagement to Olivia. The newspapers called them the city's golden couple. People congratulated my parents. No one asked about me. I disappeared from everyone's story. Except Grandma's. She had passed away 2 years earlier. But every night, I remembered her words. Trust actions, Sarah, never words. I wished I had listened. Then came the family vacation. Mother insisted we all go together. It'll help everyone move on. I didn't want to go. But Father said something that gave me hope. We've treated you unfairly. We want to make things right. Those words, those stupid words, made me believe. One last time. The mountain viewpoint was breathtaking. Clouds floated beneath us. The valley stretched endlessly into the distance. Mother pulled out her phone. Sarah, stand closer to the edge. The picture will look beautiful. I obeyed. Like always. Father smiled. Closer. I took one more step. Behind me, footsteps. Then, a violent shove. I spun around just in time to see Olivia. Her hands were still extended. She didn't even try to hide it. Our eyes met. Why? I whispered. She smiled. Because as long as you're alive, I'll never truly have everything. I looked at Ethan. Help me. He lowered his eyes. I'm sorry. That was all he said. I'm sorry. Then, I fell. The rocks below broke my body. I couldn't move. Warm blood pooled beneath me. Far above, I heard voices. Mother. Is she dead? Father. She won't survive. Olivia laughed. Good. Ethan remained silent. Someone called the police. Father calmly rehearsed the lie. She slipped while taking photos. Mother added, we all tried to save her. They had already erased me. Before I had even taken my last breath. My vision blurred. Everything grew dark. Then, I heard a voice. Gentle. Warm. The voice I had missed for years. Grandma. Sarah. Open the music box. This time, don't let them steal your future. A brilliant white light swallowed everything. I gasped. Air filled my lungs. My heart pounded violently. Someone banged on my bedroom door. Sarah. Mother shouted impatiently. Hurry up. Ethan's family will be here in an hour. Today is your engagement. I froze. My bedroom. My old curtains. My childhood desk. Grandma's wooden music box. Untouched. I grabbed my phone with trembling hands. April 18th. 3 years before my death. 3 years before the betrayal. 3 years before the murder. A tear slid down my cheek. Not from grief. From gratitude. I had been given one impossible gift. A second chance. This time, I wouldn't fight for Ethan. I would hand him to Olivia myself. Because neither of them knew. The billionaire they were so desperate to steal was about to become the biggest curse of their lives. I stared at my reflection in the mirror. The same chestnut brown hair. The same tired hazel eyes. The same 24-year-old woman who still believed love could fix everything. But this wasn't the same Sarah. That Sarah had died at the bottom of a cliff. This Sarah remembered every lie. Every betrayal. Every tear. I gently touched my neck. There was no scar. No bruises. No blood. Yet I could still feel Olivia's hands pushing me. I closed my eyes. I won't hate you, I whispered. I'll just stop saving you. Mother burst into my room without knocking. She looked exactly as I remembered. Elegant. Perfectly dressed. Perfectly cold. What are you doing? She snapped. The Brooks family will be here any minute. Do you know how embarrassing this is? Sarah from her first life would have apologized immediately. Instead, I smiled. I'm coming. Mother frowned. She stared at me for several seconds. What? Nothing. You just seem. She couldn't finish the sentence. Different. She had noticed. Good. The mansion buzzed with excitement. Luxury cars lined the driveway. business executives, politicians, socialites. Everyone had come to witness the engagement between the Brooks heir and the Carter family's eldest daughter. Or so they believed. Father greeted Ethan's parents with exaggerated enthusiasm. He laughed louder than necessary, smiled wider than necessary. Because this marriage wasn't about me. It was about money. Always money. Then Ethan walked through the front door. Tailored navy suit. Perfect smile. Confident posture. The same man I had once believed would spend his life protecting me. Instead, he had watched me die. Our eyes met. He smiled warmly. Sarah. The sound of my name on his lips made my stomach twist. In my first life, just hearing his voice made my heart race. Now, it made me sick. Still, I smiled back. Good morning. Olivia appeared seconds later. She had spent 2 hours getting ready. For my engagement. She wore an expensive cream-colored dress that looked suspiciously bridal. In my first life, I had thought it was strange. Now I understood. She hadn't dressed for my engagement. She had dressed for her future husband. She hugged me dramatically. I'm so excited for you. I almost laughed. She wasn't excited for me. She was counting the days until she could steal him. The guests gathered inside the grand ballroom. Crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead. Soft piano music filled the room. A stage had been prepared. Ethan walked toward it. He reached into his jacket. I already knew what was inside. The diamond ring. The one he would later place on Olivia's finger after taking it from mine. He stopped in front of me. The room fell silent. Sarah. He knelt on one knee. I've loved you since the first day we met. Lie. I can't imagine my future without you. Another lie. So today. Before he could open the ring box, I spoke. Ethan. I need to ask you something. He smiled. Anything. I looked around the room. Everyone was watching. Perfect. If one day I stopped loving you, what would you do? The question confused everyone. Even Ethan looked surprised. I don't understand. I smiled gently. Just answer honestly. He hesitated, then replied, I'd spend the rest of my life trying to win you back. Liar. In my previous life, he had replaced me within weeks. I nodded thoughtfully. Then I did something no one expected. I turned toward Olivia. My sister. Everyone looked at her. She blinked. What? I smiled. Come here. Slowly. She walked toward us. Confused. Curious. Excited. I took her hand. Then placed it into Ethan's. The entire ballroom gasped. Mother stood up. Sarah. What are you doing? I ignored her. Instead, I looked at Ethan. You've always said you admired confident women. Then I looked at Olivia. She's always been more confident than I am. Silence. Complete silence. Even the photographers stopped taking pictures. Olivia quickly pulled her hand away. Sarah. What are you saying? I smiled sadly. I've been thinking. I don't think I'm the right person for Ethan. Mother nearly fainted. Father's face turned pale. This engagement wasn't just a marriage. It was a business deal. And I had just blown it apart. Ethan stood up immediately. Sarah. This isn't funny. I'm serious. He searched my face. Did I do something wrong? I almost answered. Not yet. Instead I simply shook my head. No. I've just realized something. What? I deserve someone who chooses me. The room became deathly quiet. For a brief moment, something flickered in Ethan's eyes. Confusion. Maybe even guilt. Too bad. He'd get no second chance from me. Olivia stepped forward. She grabbed my arm. You don't have to do this. Her voice sounded concerned. But I noticed something else. Hope. Hidden beneath her fake sympathy. She wanted this. She just didn't want to look like the villain. So, I'd remove her guilt too. I gently squeezed her hand. If you like him, you don't have to hide it anymore. Her eyes widened. What? I've noticed the way you look at him. It's okay. You can be honest. Every guest turned toward Olivia. She froze. For the first time in her life, she didn't know what to say. Mother exploded. Sarah, have you lost your mind? I calmly looked at her. Mom, haven't you always said that Olivia deserves the best? Mother opened her mouth, then closed it, because she had said exactly that, hundreds of times. Father quickly tried to save the situation. This engagement will continue. No. I smiled peacefully. It won't. Then, I removed the diamond ring from the velvet box before Ethan could even touch it. I closed the lid and placed it back into his hands. You should save this. You'll need it. He frowned. For who? I looked directly at Olivia. She immediately looked away. You'll figure it out. Without another word, I walked out of the ballroom. Behind me, chaos erupted. Mother yelling, father shouting, guests whispering, reporters taking photographs, Ethan calling my name, Olivia pretending to cry. Exactly. Everything was happening exactly as I wanted. Upstairs, I entered my bedroom, locked the door. My heartbeat finally slowed. Then I walked to Grandma's old music box. Her last gift. The words from my dream echoed in my mind. Open the music box. Carefully, I lifted it onto my bed. I pressed my fingers along the wooden edges. Nothing. Then I remembered something. Grandma always tapped the bottom twice before opening it. I turned the box upside down. Tap, tap, click. A hidden compartment slid open. Inside lay a tiny brass key, and beneath it, a folded yellow envelope. My hands trembled as I unfolded the paper. Only one sentence was written in Grandma's elegant handwriting. If you're reading this, they have already betrayed you. My heart stopped. How? How could Grandma have known? I turned the paper over. There was one more message. Locker 317. Silver Oak Bank. Trust no one, especially your family. Before I could think further, someone pounded on my bedroom door. Hard. Sarah. It was Olivia. Her voice was trembling. I need to talk to you. I quietly slipped the key into my pocket, then smiled. Of course. Because, for the first time in my life, I was ready for the conversation she thought she controlled. She had no idea. The game had already begun. Olivia stood outside my bedroom door. For the first time in my life, she sounded nervous. Sarah, can we talk? I slipped Grandma's brass key into my pocket before opening the door. Olivia rushed inside and immediately closed it behind her. She looked around the room as if she were afraid someone might hear us. Then, she hugged me. I never wanted to hurt you. I almost smiled. The lies had already begun. I gently stepped away. What do you want, Olivia? She bit her lip. I don't know how to say this. I folded my arms. Try. She lowered her eyes. I think Ethan likes me. Exactly. Right on schedule. In my first life, she had hidden their relationship for months. This time, she wanted my permission before stealing him. Not because she cared, because she wanted to feel innocent. I walked to the window. The afternoon sunlight poured into the room. Without turning around, I asked, "Do you like him?" She remained silent. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. Finally, yes. Barely a whisper. I've liked him since the day you introduced us. Not ashamed. Not guilty. Just honest. For once. I slowly nodded. Then you should be with him. She looked up so quickly that I almost laughed. What? I said. You should be with him. Her eyes filled with disbelief. You mean that? I turned toward her. If someone has to marry Ethan, I'd rather it be my own sister. Tears appeared in her eyes. Fake tears. She threw her arms around me again. You're the best sister in the world. No, I thought. I'm simply letting you walk into the fire instead of pulling you out. That evening, our parents called a family meeting. The atmosphere inside Father's study was suffocating. Father slammed his hand onto the desk. What happened today? Mother pointed directly at me. Explain yourself. I calmly sat down. I already did. I don't want to marry Ethan. Father's face turned red. Do you understand how important this marriage is? No. I understand how important the money is. Silence. Mother's expression hardened. Watch your mouth. I looked directly into her eyes. For once. Can we stop pretending this is about love? Neither of them answered. Because they couldn't. Father took a deep breath. The Brooks family can change our future. No. I corrected him. They can change yours. His jaw tightened. What does that mean? It means I won't sell my life so you can become richer. Mother laughed bitterly. You've become selfish. That word. Selfish. The same word they'd used every time I refused to sacrifice something for Olivia. My toys. My birthday gifts. My college savings. My happiness. Everything had always belonged to Olivia. Not anymore. Just then, the study door opened. Ethan walked in. He looked exhausted. His tie hung loosely around his neck. His eyes searched the room until they found me. Can we talk? Father immediately stood. Of course. Ethan shook his head. Alone. Everyone quietly left. Except me. The room fell silent. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Finally, Ethan sighed. I don't understand. What changed? I smiled faintly. People change. You loved me. I thought I did. His face fell. Thought. I walked toward the bookshelf. You know, I've been thinking. In every relationship, one person always loves more. He nodded slowly. I suppose. I realized. It was me. He stepped closer. I can fix this. No. You don't even know what's broken. He looked genuinely confused. For the first time, I wondered something. Had he actually loved me? Or had he simply loved the version of me who never questioned him? I don't want to lose you. His voice sounded sincere. Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. It no longer mattered. I smiled gently. You won't. He frowned. What? You'll gain someone else. His eyebrows knitted together. I don't understand. You will. Soon. The next morning, I woke up before sunrise. Today, I wasn't thinking about Ethan. I was thinking about Grandma. Silver Oak Bank. Locker 317. The key burned in my pocket as I drove across the city. The bank looked exactly as I remembered. Elegant. Quiet. Old. Inside, an elderly manager greeted me. Good morning. How may I help you? I placed the brass key on the counter. I'd like to access locker 317. The man's smile disappeared. He stared at the key. Then, at me. May I see your identification? I handed him my ID. His eyes widened. Your name? Sarah Carter? Yes. His hands trembled slightly. I've been waiting for you. A chill ran down my spine. Waiting. He nodded. Mrs. Eleanor Carter instructed us many years ago. If Miss Sarah Carter ever came with this key, we were to give her everything. Everything? Minutes later, he led me into a private underground vault. Rows upon rows of steel lockers lined the walls. He stopped at number 317. The brass key fit perfectly. Click. The heavy metal door slowly opened. Inside, there wasn't jewelry. There wasn't cash. There wasn't gold. There was a leather folder, one sealed envelope, a flash drive, and an old photograph. I picked up the photograph first. It showed Grandma, much younger, standing beside a man I'd never seen before. Both were smiling. On the back, Grandma had written 3 words. Your real family. My heart skipped a beat. Real family? What did that mean? Hands trembling, I opened the envelope. Inside was Grandma's handwritten letter. My dearest Sarah, if you are reading this, then everything happened exactly as I feared. They betrayed you. Tears blurred my vision. She knew. She had known all along. I continued reading. The man in the photograph is Jonathan Ashford. He was my son. Your father. The world stopped. My father? No. That couldn't be possible. My father was Richard Carter. Wasn't he? The letter continued. Richard and Linda Carter are not your parents. My knees nearly gave out. They adopted you after the accident that killed Jonathan and your mother. No. No. That wasn't possible. Everything I believed about my life, everything, was collapsing. Then I reached the final page. One sentence that made the blood drain from my face. And they never adopted you out of love. They adopted you because someone paid them to keep you hidden. I couldn't breathe. Someone had paid them? For me? Before I could process another thought, my phone vibrated. It was Olivia. I answered. Her voice was overflowing with excitement. Sarah, you'll never believe it. Ethan just proposed to me. I closed my eyes. I couldn't stop staring at Grandma's letter. My hands trembled so violently that the paper slipped onto the floor. Richard Carter. Linda Carter. The people I had called Mom and Dad my entire life weren't my parents. They had raised me, fed me, sent me to school. But they had never loved me. Now I finally knew why. I wasn't their daughter. I was their assignment. The bank manager quietly placed a glass of water in front of me. Miss Ashford. I looked up. You called me. He smiled apologetically. I'm sorry. I meant Miss Carter. No. I whispered. Say it again. He hesitated, then repeated softly. Miss Ashford. The name felt strange. Yet somehow, it also felt familiar. Like hearing a forgotten melody from childhood. He opened the leather folder. Inside were dozens of legal documents. Birth certificates. Property deeds. Old newspaper articles. Company records. Every document carried the same family name. Ashford. The Ashford Group. One of the oldest investment companies in the country. Worth tens of billions. My eyes widened. I've heard of them. The manager nodded. Everyone has. But very few know the family disappeared 23 years ago. He carefully placed an old newspaper in front of me. The headline read, Ashford heir dies in mysterious car explosion. Below it, a photograph. A smiling man. The same man standing beside Grandma in the picture. Jonathan Ashford. My father. The article claimed the accident killed both Jonathan and his wife. Only one person survived. Their 1-year-old daughter. Her identity was never revealed. That daughter was me. Who paid the Carters? I asked quietly. The manager lowered his eyes. We don't know. But Mrs. Eleanor believed someone wanted every Ashford dead. A chill ran through me. So, I've been hiding my entire life. He nodded. Mrs. Eleanor trusted no one. Not even the police. He handed me the flash drive. This contains everything Mrs. Eleanor collected. Company records. Private investigations. Financial transactions. Video evidence. She spent 20 years searching for the truth. I looked at the tiny device. Grandma hadn't just left me an inheritance. She had left me a war. Before leaving the bank, the manager stopped me. "Miss Ashford." He opened a drawer beneath the counter. Inside lay a black business card. Simple. Elegant. Only one sentence was printed on it. "When you're ready, call me." Below it, a name. Daniel Hayes. Chairman. Ashford Holdings. I frowned. I thought the company disappeared. The manager smiled. It didn't. It was waiting. For you. Outside the bank, rain had begun to fall. I sat inside my car, unable to start the engine. Everything had changed in a single morning. I wasn't poor. I wasn't abandoned. I wasn't unwanted. Someone had stolen my life before I was old enough to remember it. My phone rang. "Mother." I answered. "Sarah." Her voice was unusually cheerful. "Where are you?" "Out." "You should come home. We're celebrating." I smiled bitterly. Celebrating what? Olivia's engagement. Of course. When I arrived home, the mansion was covered in flowers. Champagne bottles lined the dining table. Guests filled every room. A giant banner read, "Congratulations Ethan and Olivia." Exactly 3 days ago, that banner would have carried my name. No one seemed bothered. As if I had never existed. Mother spotted me immediately. "There you are." She frowned. "Where have you been?" "I had things to do." She sighed dramatically. "You could at least pretend to be happy for your sister." I looked toward Olivia. She was wearing the diamond ring. My ring. Again. History was repeating itself. Only this time, I wasn't heartbroken. I felt nothing. Olivia ran toward me. She lifted her left hand proudly. "Isn't it beautiful?" I examined the diamond. "It suits you." She smiled brightly. "I knew you'd understand." Then she whispered so only I could hear. "I finally won." I smiled back. "Congratulations. You deserve exactly what you've chosen." She misunderstood my words. She thought I'd surrendered. She had no idea. She had just married the beginning of her nightmare. Across the room, Ethan watched me. He looked uneasy. His smile never reached his eyes. Several times, I caught him staring, as if waiting for me to cry, to scream, to beg. I did none of those things. Instead, I laughed with the guests, complimented Olivia, congratulated Ethan. The calmer I became, the more uncomfortable he looked. Halfway through dinner, a man in an expensive gray suit entered the mansion. Everyone turned. Even Ethan stood. "Mr. Brooks." The man nodded politely. "I apologize for interrupting. I'm looking for Mr. Ethan Brooks." Ethan smiled. "I'm Ethan." The man handed him a thick envelope. "You've been officially served." Silence. "What is this?" The lawyer replied calmly. "A lawsuit. Regarding Brooks Global Holdings." Ethan frowned. "There must be some mistake." "There isn't." The lawyer adjusted his glasses. "Your company has defaulted on several international loans. The court has frozen multiple corporate accounts." Every guest gasped. Olivia's smile disappeared instantly. Father stood up. "Frozen? What does that mean?" The lawyer answered without emotion. "It means Brooks Global is under investigation, and unless substantial debts are paid, the company may enter bankruptcy proceedings." The room exploded into whispers. Olivia turned toward Ethan. "You told me your company was making record profits." Ethan looked pale. I was handling it." The lawyer interrupted. "You were hiding it." I quietly sipped my tea. Exactly as I remembered. Except, in my previous life, I had helped Ethan. When the company nearly collapsed, I had convinced Grandma's old lawyer to lend him enough money to survive. He never knew where the money came from. He believed he had saved himself. This time, there would be no rescue. The lawyer left. The celebration ended almost immediately. Guests hurried home. Reporters gathered outside. Father looked furious. Mother looked terrified. Olivia stared at Ethan. "You lied to me." He rubbed his forehead. "I was trying to protect you." She stepped backward. "You said you were worth $12 billion. I was." "What do you mean, was?" He couldn't answer. As I quietly walked toward the front door, someone grabbed my wrist. It was Ethan. His voice was barely above a whisper. "Sarah, I need to talk to you." I slowly looked down at his hand, then back into his eyes. For the first time, I saw fear. Real fear. Not because he had lost me. That night, I plugged Grandma's flash drive into my laptop. Hundreds of files appeared. Folders, photographs, financial records, voice recordings. Then, one file caught my attention. It was simply titled, "Do not open until you are reborn." My heartbeat stopped. Reborn? How? How could Grandma possibly know? With trembling fingers, I clicked the file. A video began to play. Grandma appeared on the screen. She looked directly into the camera. Then, she smiled and spoke the words that changed everything. "Sarah, if you're watching this, then death has already failed to keep you." My finger froze above the mouse. The video had already started. Grandma looked older than I remembered. Her silver hair was tied neatly behind her head. She wore the same emerald necklace she never took off. But it wasn't her appearance that shocked me. It was her eyes. She wasn't speaking like someone recording a farewell. She was speaking like someone who already knew my future. She smiled gently. "Sarah, if you're watching this, then death has already failed to keep you." Every hair on my body stood on end. I whispered, "Grandma." She continued, "I know how impossible those words sound. You must think I've lost my mind. But if you are watching this, it means I was right." She paused, then took a deep breath. "Our family has survived because we always prepared for the impossible." I leaned closer to the screen. "I don't understand." Grandma held up an old pocket watch. I recognized it immediately. It had always been locked inside her bedroom drawer. "When your father was alive, he often said something. The most dangerous enemy isn't the one who attacks you. It's the one who waits until you trust them." Tears filled my eyes. I had never even met my real father. Yet somehow, those words felt familiar. Grandma continued, "When Jonathan and Amelia died, the police declared it an accident. I didn't. I spent 20 years proving it wasn't." She opened a thick file. Photographs covered every page. Burned cars, bank transfers, newspaper clippings, surveillance photos. I discovered someone inside Ashford Holdings wanted complete control. They couldn't inherit while Jonathan lived. So, they removed him. My breathing became uneven. They murdered my parents. Grandma nodded in the video, as if she could hear me. "Yes. They were murdered. And after failing to find you, they assumed you died as well. But I found you first." She smiled proudly. "I gave you to Richard and Linda Carter." My heart stopped. She chose them? Grandma's smile slowly disappeared. "I made the biggest mistake of my life. I believed money would make them protect you. So I paid them." The room spun. "She paid them?" "I gave them enough money to raise you comfortably. But greed always grows. They loved my money. They never loved you." A tear rolled down my cheek. Even Grandma blamed herself. I watched from a distance. "I couldn't bring you home. If they discovered you were alive, they would come for you. So I became the cruel grandmother, the distant grandmother, the one who visited only occasionally." She looked away from the camera. I hoped you would hate me. Hatred keeps people alive. I burst into tears. Every cold visit, every short conversation, every missed birthday. She wasn't abandoning me. She was protecting me. Then her expression changed. It became serious. There is something else. She reached into a wooden box, pulled out another photograph. This one showed Richard Carter, my adoptive father, standing beside a much younger Ethan Brooks' father, and another man, a man I'd never seen before. Grandma tapped the photograph. Remember his face. His name is Victor Hale. He is the reason your parents died. I stared at the screen. Victor Hale, the billionaire investor, one of the most respected businessmen in the country. He had appeared on magazine covers, charity events, business conferences. Everyone admired him. Grandma continued. Victor didn't just destroy our family. He created many others. He hides behind honest people. He uses them, then throws them away. My blood ran cold. The video ended with one final warning. Sarah, promise me something. Don't waste your second chance chasing revenge. Build the life they tried to steal. That will hurt them far more. The screen turned black. I sat in silence. For almost an hour. Everything finally made sense. Why I had always felt unwanted. Why Grandma seemed distant. Why my parents treated me differently. None of it had been my fault. Never. The next morning, my phone buzzed repeatedly. News notifications. One after another. Brooks Global stock falls 18%. Banks freeze company credit lines. Investors panic. I smiled. The collapse had begun. An hour later, someone knocked on my apartment door. When I opened it, Olivia stood there. Her expensive makeup couldn't hide the dark circles beneath her eyes. She looked exhausted. She forced a smile. Can I come in? I stepped aside. She entered quietly. The confident woman from 2 days ago had disappeared. She sat on my couch, twisting her engagement ring nervously. I need your help. I poured 2 cups of tea. What happened? She sighed deeply. Ethan lied. I didn't know the company was drowning in debt. I remained silent. She continued. His father controls everything. They barely let Ethan make decisions. They're fighting every day. She looked at me with watery eyes. I think I made a mistake. I nearly laughed. You don't say. She reached across the table. Sarah, can you talk to Ethan? I slowly lifted my cup. Why me? He still listens to you. No. He listens to whoever benefits him. She shook her head. No. He still. She couldn't finish. I already knew. Ethan regretted choosing Olivia. Not because he loved me. Because I had stopped making his life easier. Olivia suddenly grabbed my hands. I'm scared. There are men coming to the house. They keep asking about money. Ethan says everything will be fine. But he doesn't sound convinced anymore. I looked directly into her eyes. The same eyes that had watched me die. For a brief second, I almost pitied her. Almost. Then I remembered the cliff. I gently removed my hands. You chose this life. She nodded slowly. I know. I didn't think. She looked around the room. I thought marrying a billionaire meant happiness. I smiled sadly. Money only magnifies who people already are. If someone is honest, they become generous. If someone is cruel, they become dangerous. As Olivia left, she turned around. Sarah, if you had another chance, would you still let me marry Ethan? Without hesitation, I answered, yes. She frowned. Why? I looked out the window. Because some lessons can't be taught. They have to be lived. She left without another word. That evening, my phone rang again. Unknown number. I answered. A calm male voice spoke. Miss Ashford. This is Daniel Hayes, the chairman of Ashford Holdings. I believe it's finally time. My heartbeat quickened. For what? He answered quietly. To reclaim everything that belongs to you. Before I could respond, he added one sentence. One sentence that changed the entire story. There's something your grandmother never had time to tell you. Your parents weren't the only ones murdered. A long silence followed. Then, he whispered, your father had a twin brother. And he's still alive. The end. Or is it? Thank you for spending your time with me today. Until our next story, take care, and remember, sometimes the greatest revenge isn't making people suffer. It's showing them they no longer have the power to hurt you. If you enjoyed this story, please leave a like and subscribe for more unforgettable rebirth and revenge stories every week. Share your thoughts in the comments. I read every one of them. I'll see you in the next story. Until then, sending you lots of love.